One of the biggest problems we have in this industry.
If it's rock, we're talking about it.
Trunk Nation
With Eddie Trunk.
Sirius XM's Faction Talk.
Hey, how you guys doing? It is noon in the West. It is 3 o'clock in the East, and it is time for Trunk Nation. Last night, I went down the YouTube rabbit hole, had a chance to watch an interview from, I think, about a year ago with Bob Ezrin, the legendary producer, of course. It was done for Canadian TV. But it was interesting. Bob had some interesting things to say about making Destroyer, some interesting things to say about making Pink Floyd's The Wall. And just a heads up on that, if you've not seen it, it's definitely something worth checking out. Bob Ezrin, one of the truly legendary producers we still have working in this business and still active as ever. He is now in his mid-70s. We had him on this show on a producer spotlight. I'd love to rerun that at some point. I went to Toronto and got that. Bob is now living full-time in Toronto, but also Bob is still actively working with Alice Cooper and also is the guy that really is the driver behind this wave of recent Deep Purple albums that we've been getting. Deep Purple loved working with Ezrin so much, even at this super late part in their history, that he is really the big driver behind Deep Purple continuing to make studio records, including a brand new one that came out this past Friday called Splat. We're going to have somebody from Purple on with us soon. We'll have somebody on soon. So thought that was interesting. Also, a few people mentioned to me and asked me if I had watched or listened to Tommy Lee's appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast. Tommy was indeed on there. It posted last week, I think. Tommy Lee doesn't do a lot of that kind of stuff, at least that I'm aware of. But I did watch about 45 minutes of it. And it's interesting because I'm a fan of Joe Rogan's podcast. The guy seems to be able to talk to anybody about anything. It's amazing. And I love when he goes into areas of talking about, aliens and science and AI and pharmaceuticals. I love all that stuff. You can tell he's not a huge music guy, but kind of knows the broad strokes of some of the music stuff. And, I picked that up on some of the stuff with Tommy because, some of the stuff I was kind of like talking to the TV. I'm like, no, I wanted to jump in if I could, But the one thing, so there was some, and I only watched the first 40 minutes. So it's 2.5 hours long. The Rogan interviews are always close to 3 hours. And they don't always center on what the person he's talking to is known for, which is also interesting. But there was one thing that I did hear them say in the first 40 minutes of the interview, which I completely agreed with. And then there was a statement made that surprisingly was agreed on by Tommy Lee that I think is completely wrong. The thing I agreed on was what I've been saying for years now. One of the biggest problems we have in this industry of music is oversaturation. I always use the term, there's no gatekeepers, that anybody can put anything out. And they use not the exact same term, but the same exact sentiment. Even Rogan was saying, how could anybody find anything today? As I've said a billion times, if you're a regular listener on this show, used to be you needed a record label. You couldn't put music out without it. You don't need any of that. Anybody can put anything on the internet. Now there's this giant pool of 300 times the amount of content. And by the way, in the Ezrin interview, the reason I'm bringing both these interviews up is because there was a parallel. In the Ezrin interview, He said the same exact thing about a huge problem being the oversaturation and glut of stuff. And Ezrin, even in his interview, went as far as to use the exact terminology I always say, where, and I'm not saying Bob did this because he heard me say it. I'm just saying it was funny because he said the same exact thing I say. The good news is anybody can make and release music. The bad news is anybody can make and release music. And he said the exact same thing in this interview. But, Bob brought up an interesting thing, which, is another part of all that, where he said, one of the things, too, where you had all these sort of tiers that bands had to hit to release music is they had to put the work in. You couldn't get to a certain level without reaching a certain level as a songwriter. The songs had to be a certain quality. The production had to be a certain quality. So all this nurturing, all of this time that it took to ascend to the point that you were able to release music, all of that is out the window now. Because you don't need it. Well, you need it, but people aren't doing it. They're not that good. The songs aren't that good. They just pumping stuff out. And that gets lost with all the stuff that is good and makes this giant stew that nobody can pick out the meat in the stew, the good stuff. It was really interesting to hear two different worlds here. A Canadian TV interview with a legendary producer, and then the biggest podcast in the world with the drummer in Motley Crue and the biggest podcaster, all talking about this problem and how, it's just this glut of stuff. So that was interesting. The one thing that I disagreed with Rogan, and again, I was surprised Tommy Lee agreed on this. But Joe made some sort of statement like, well, there really is no radio anymore. Whoa. What exactly does that mean? There is no radio anymore. And Tommy Lee's like, yeah, you're right. If I was in that room, I would have loved to say, whoa, guys. What do you mean by that? Now, look, I am aware that if you are Joe Rogan, your platform, because you have the biggest podcast in the world, whether you like him or not, it's just fact. Because you have the biggest podcast in the world, your audience is bigger than most, pretty much probably all radio stations and most TV channels. So that's not, so I get that you can kind of get in this bubble when you have a podcast that big and that powerful of thinking there is no other media. But, and this is where I was surprised Tommy Lee agreed, if you're in a band, you damn well know that there is still radio and it is still a force in selling records and getting people to concerts. And I don't say that purely just because I'm a 43-year and counting radio veteran. It's not like, oh, I'm going to wave the flag for my media. No. I'm just saying it because it's true. Now, has radio taken hits? Has radio eroded? Has the art of music radio pretty much been sucked dry and sucked and void of any creativity? Yeah, for the most part. I mean, a lot of it's changed. It's one mother brain for most places controlling all the music. It's a lot of pre-recorded tracks. The DJ's got nothing to do with nothing. Yeah, I'll give you all that. But if you don't think it still carries a ton of weight in moving the needle on awareness for your record, and that there aren't hundreds of thousands of bands who would chop their leg off to just get a mention or 10 seconds of their song played on the radio, on a real radio station. You're dreaming. I mean, I've talked to so many of my friends who are in bands, and they will tell you, terrestrial radio, here on satellite radio, it absolutely makes an impact. So yes, the art of radio, the availability of jobs in radio, the creativity in radio, I do agree, has gone a lot by the wayside. I'm talking about music-based radio. But to say there is no radio, I don't even know what that means. There's still a lot of radio stations. It's still big business, and it still means something. And, you know, I can understand Rogan from his perspective kind of feeling that way, living in that podcast bubble. But, man, you can't say that if you're an artist, because you know damn well that you need radio if you're going to have any shot at getting anywhere with your music. Yes, I'm aware social media. I'm aware TikTok is a big thing. I'm aware YouTube is a huge thing. They're all part of it. But even there, it kind of ties in to what we talked about, how things have gotten so diluted and so oversaturated with the way music comes out. Tying it all in, there's another way of oversaturation. Media, or the way people are exposed to it, has become so fragmented. You get it from, I get it on YouTube. I get it on Twitter. I get it on Instagram. Oh, I get it on TikTok. Oh, I don't get it at all. I have no idea. I don't listen to anything. I listen to Pandora. I listen to Spotify. I listen to Apple Music. I mean, it's all over the map. It astonishes me on a daily basis, too. I've talked about this. How many people just stop their discovery of music at a certain point in their life? It never doesn't amaze me when I go to a concert. Last night, I hosted a show for LA Guns here in Vegas with Count 77. It was a fun time. Both bands killed. And I posted, I think, a little bit on Facebook page last night of the concert, 60 seconds of one of the songs from LA Guns last night. And I'll hear from people, oh, wow, LA Guns is still around. I saw them in 1988. And like even Andrew Wilkow, who does a show here on Sirius XM, he texted me something like that today. And I love Wilkow. I'm just saying, I'm not even talking about his text, but other people, oh, wow, LA Guns. Yeah, whatever happened to them? Nothing. They've been going since 1985. Never stopped. Put out a record every year, every 2 years. Yeah, they've had a lot of members, but they never stopped. Matter of fact, for a while, there was 2 of them. These people like this epiphany, like, oh, wow, I not heard of them since 88. Well, where have you been? Not where they've been. They've been touring and releasing a record every year. Where have you been that you proclaim to be such a big fan, but you don't know what's happened the last 40 years? That never ceases to amaze me. And that also is a part of the problem with some aspects of the music industry. People just check out. I cannot pinpoint exactly when that happens, but it happens. On to some other things. Apparently, Youngblood admitted on social media that he had a bit of a breakdown because of the large amount of haters that he has out there who have all taken shots at him, whether it's based on jealousy, whether it's based on just people not liking the guy for whatever reason, whatever it may be. If you recall, when we had Youngblood on this show, and you can see it on the YouTube channel, you can hear it on the app if you didn't hear it. More than one time in my conversation with him, he referenced the haters. And he did it after the second or third time he did it. I dug in a little bit on that and said to him, well, what exactly do you mean by that? Are you referencing people like Justin Hawkins of The Darkness, who has taken shots, and some other people? And he said, yeah, he goes, the problem with these people are just jealous because it's a party they're not invited to or whatever. He gave a good answer. Well, apparently, this is all starting to get on young Dom, because he had he just did a huge event called, I think it's called Bloodstock, which is his own festival somewhere in England. And coming off of this huge triumphant thing, and he posted this photo on social media going there on his own plane, which of course obviously triggered jealousy from some, and people took shots at him for that. He had a whole emotional breakdown about it and took to social media to tell everybody how he was feeling. And he even said he wasn't sure about going to social media with it because he thought then it would be perceived as, looking for sympathy or what have you, and all of that. So, look, I am not a hater on this guy. I have seen him twice. I believe he is our best hope right now for a young artist bringing rock back into the forefront. I think his next record is extremely crucial in terms of what it sounds like and the direction and the approach. But I think he is extremely promising. And we have not seen or heard anyone like this in a while. But I also, as I said in the interview with him, I hope he has good people around him and he does not implode. So look, if he feels it is to his benefit to express his opinions and his feelings through social media, whatever, fine, it's your prerogative. But my gosh, my recommendation to Mr. Youngblood, should I have a chance to talk to him again, would be to get your head out of the comments. Get your head out of reviews. Tune it out, block it out. It does nothing positive for you. And that's even the positive comments, because that'll dilute your head too. And look, the vast majority of people who make things up or have hate platforms or websites or pages or whatever, the reality is most of them are your biggest fans. Most of them are obsessed with you. And most of them are extremely jealous of you. Anybody that reaches a certain level of notoriety, known as the guy in their respective world, is always going to have people that want to knock you down a peg. It's jealousy. It's insecurity. They'll find something to nitpick. They'll find something to twist out of reality. Trust me, I know it's out there for me. I don't engage in it. I know it exists. I don't engage in it. I don't see it. I don't care. I care, but I would never engage in it. Me personally, especially since the days when I was on TV every day, my God, if you go down those roads, it'll mess you up beyond belief. Let people say, Dom, anything they want. Tune it out, ignore it, and go about your business and keep kicking ass and playing to sold-out arenas in England and Europe. Everybody at whatever level they exist at, that is the biggest, even if you work, I don't know, if you work in a store, get your head out of the comments. If you have 20 followers, get your head out of the comments. Every day I'll randomly hear from somebody who I know, like, hey man, I made a post on your thing and they made a comment about it. You might want, no, I'm not dealing with it. It's so silly. It's like high school. It's like, are you serious? You really think I have time to play whack-a-mole on the internet? When I go to bed at night, I take confidence in knowing that I have done this for 43 years and counting. So somebody is listening and somebody cares. And I must be doing a pretty good job at it to have had that career, which I don't take for granted. And that's it. People can do and say whatever they want beyond that. And now, again, with AI and all that stuff, there's so much fake stuff more than ever. So I'm bringing all this up because I really hope our boy Youngblood hangs in there. He has got the world as his oyster right now. This guy is living the dream. Enjoy it. Make a kick-ass next record. And be the guy that brings rock back. And don't stay out of the comments. Do what I do, man. Post and move on. So this guy's still young. He's still not even 30 yet, but hopefully he's figuring that out. And whether you like him or not, that's your prerogative. Most people, they don't like something, they just don't listen to it. So don't listen to him. But can you imagine taking the time? I'm going to start a website. Or I'm going to start a fan website. There's nothing going to be hate for the guy. Or I'm going to start a hate website. Like, what? I'm going to start a Facebook page and just talk shit about the guy. Okay, you have fun. This is crazy. One other note on this. I heard an interview on Howard Stern with Taylor Sheridan. If you don't know who Taylor Sheridan is, he is the biggest guy in TV right now. As a writer, he is the guy, the creator of Yellowstone and all those spin-off shows and Lioness and Tulsa King. He is the king of TV. Massively successful. Just got like $1 billion deal. And he was talking on Howard about how there's so much, a segment of the world has so much hate for him because they don't like his shows. He has disdain for Hollywood. They don't like him. He's not politically correct. And Howard was like, how do you deal with that? He goes, I just do my work and know that there's millions and millions of people that it makes happy. And then he goes, I go home and to my giant ranch in Texas. I put my feet up and have a drink. I don't acknowledge it. That's how you got to be wired. Friggin' guy just got $1 billion deal. He's going to worry about some hate website about his show that doesn't like Landman. It's crazy. The world's insane. Hang in there, Youngblood. We're here for you, buddy. Again, we shouldn't have to feel bad for Youngblood tooling around the world on his own private plane, but you know what I'm saying.
More talk on all things rock after this.
It's Trunk Nation.
With host Eddie Trunk.
And now an update on all things rock.
From the feuds and the reunions, lawsuits and payoffs.
We're talking about it.
Trunk Nation.
With Eddie Trunk.
All right, we're back, and we are talking rock as we do every day here on Trunk Nation. Faction Talk, Sirius XM Channel 103, or the Sirius XM app. And we are welcoming Two great guests from the band Evanescence joining us. We have bassist Emma Anzai. Emma, nice to see you and talk to you. We're doing this on Zoom, so hello.
Hello.
And Amy Lee. Amy, good to see you.
What's up, Eddie? Thanks for having us.
Emma, you grew up where? In Australia? Am I correct on that?
Most of the time, yeah. I also lived in Japan for a little bit as well, but mainly it was Australia, yeah.
And you also played in the band Sick Puppies. Do you still do that?
Yes, I still do that. We came over here, met in high school, and then came over to the US many years ago, and yeah, still doing it.
And your tenure in Evanescence, how long have you been part of the band now?
Ooh, now it's like going on 4 years.
Wow.
Yep. I know, time's flown. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, though, it feels like you've been here forever.
Yeah.
Amy, how did you end up enlisting Emma to come into Evanescence?
I've been Emma's fan for many years. We met on tour. I think we really met face to face in 2007 when we were touring together. And we just became friends right away. Especially back then, finding another female musician in the heavy music world was like finding a unicorn. And it was just like, oh, hey, we should hang out.
Yeah, totally.
But beyond just gender, we just had a lot in common right away, and I don't know, hit it off. And I, more than that, even just was so impressed, like everybody else that's seen Emma play, by just her whole thing, her amazing ability as a bassist, and her style and her stage presence. So cool. I always wanted to be in a band with Emma. I've been kind of we've been putting around in the background for years. If there's ever some kind of side project that we could do, we should do that. And then the time was finally right. So got the best of both.
Emma, who kind of shaped you as a player and a performer? Amy just said these wonderful things about you and what appealed to her about you and your performance. Where did that come from in your upbringing?
Well, that's so lovely. I think it was real simple stuff. I feel like when you're the ages of 15, 16, 17, earlier, maybe 14, I feel like your brain is a sponge and you're absorbing things at a rate that's far greater than musically, and experiences and everything like that, far greater than I guess when you're a little older. And I was really into Silverchair, Green Day, Chili Peppers, and I think those three bass players really I absorbed. Say for example, Silverchair, the bass player Chris, he's not necessarily the most it's not Victor Wooten or Flea or anything like that, but he had this energy around him when he played live. It was a very simple thing. He just locked in with the kick, but it was something about his energy that really drew me to that band. And then more on the technical side, probably just Mike from Green Day, and then obviously Flea from Chili Peppers. Just being able to use the bass as a melodic instrument as well as percussive. I think I really liked the two.
Yeah, I've not heard the name Silverchair in a while, but I know they're Australian. And I know here in the U.S., they had one big song at the time. I think it was called Tomorrow, if I recall.
Yes.
It was a really big song. But that was kind of it for them here in the U.S. Are they still an active band in Australia?
Unfortunately, no. I think Daniel John's the singer. He's doing stuff, but I think they kind of stopped after one of the albums 10 years ago or so. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
their second album is cool. They got way more into strings and stuff. It's more experimental in a beautiful way.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to check that out. Well, let's talk about the new Evanescence album, which is out now. Sanctuary, doing unbelievably well. You're dominating the rock radio charts. It was funny. I was just having a conversation earlier before you guys got on the air, because I had heard an interview where somebody said, well, there really is no rock radio anymore. I never quite understood that statement, because I'm not sure what planet people are living on that they don't think rock radio is still out there. It certainly still exists, and it's certainly still a powerful thing. I mean, I think media's gotten fragmented, and you have people now that, you've got YouTube, you've got TikTok, you've got all these other outlets, but I think, and I'm not just saying this as a radio guy my whole life, but I do still think that radio has some definite influence on artist success. And Amy, you're definitely a great example of that, I think.
Thank you. It's become different to balance what you're thinking towards when you're thinking about singles and how to push things and everything else because it used to really just be radio. And now I think we've kind of started to have to really, I mean, not have to, get to broaden the whole idea of like, well, it's not just about a radio hit. Like that is an incredible asset, and I think still kind of the hardest thing to get to get everybody on board with one thing. But streaming has changed things so much, like you're saying, fragmented. It's like we all sort of have our own stream, our own channel of things that are coming towards us based on what we've listened to before, what we clicked on, what we looked on a minute longer. So what may seem like the biggest thing in the world to you, maybe something that the person next to you has never heard of before, which is cool, you know, in a way, but there is an element to it where I really love the things in music and in the world, like that bring us together, like coming together, like when people all come to a concert and we're all experiencing one thing live at the same time, feeling that feeling. It's just a different thing to, you know, like when you're alone in your room consuming music by yourself, that's great too. But there's something really special about that togetherness, and radio is sort of that last place, you know, that is really can be beyond just the straight up mainstream. Rock radio does still exist, especially in, you know, satellite radio and things where we can reach a much broader group, you know, rather than just the people in your town. I think that's the radio that people need to be thinking towards, like this. Here you are, right in the right place. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've had tremendous success with this record. As a matter of fact, Who Will You Follow, if I'm not mistaken, is pretty much like number one right now at Rock Radio,
Yeah,
right?
it has been. I last week it was. I think so. It's been doing really, really well. We're so happy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think if I'm not mistaken, you've been a part of three number one rock songs. Is that
You're right.
correct?
Yeah. Are you thinking End of You also?
Yeah.
Because Afterlife, End of
Right.
You, and then Who We Follow. Yeah. In the
Amazing.
last year. Yeah. It's been really good.
Congratulations.
It's been
I
really
mean-
cool. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead.
No, finish what you were going to say.
It's just been really cool to see people's reactions after we've been working on this and obsessing over it. This has just been an all-consuming project. We've obviously been doing other things. We were on tour a bunch last year and doing stuff for movies. We did things for the Ballerina soundtrack and the Devil May Cry series, and then we got to tour with Metallica. So much going on that like we didn't expect. What was going on in the background was just absolutely consuming my mind most of the time. And so much, you know, energy and thought and heart and soul and excitement poured into this music up until the last minute. And the fact that it's only been out for, has it even been a month? Has it been just a month, like right now? Something like that. Like just a month. Is that month went by really, I feel like it's been out for longer, I guess, because we've been playing it, you know, on stage every night. But the response has been just really rewarding after all the running and holding your breath and going as fast as you can. And like, we're still going hard, but it's just out of love and excitement. And I don't know, it just feels like a really nice victory moment right now.
Emma, how's it felt for you out there, especially with this new record out, playing some of this material live?
I mean, just like what you were saying, Amy, it's a pretty amazing feeling to it is more just like you said, I think the best place to sort of absorb that is at a show where people are there actively sort of, you know, experiencing it and singing it and you know, it's a kind of a cathartic moment. I always refer to that with shows because it really is like this group of energy and we're all experiencing it together. And sure, like we're on stage and we've a slightly different experience, but then we're feeding off of the people sort of listening to and experiencing it together. It's this back and forth, and it's been all consuming totally, like you said, Amy, and it's been really amazing. Yeah.
Amy, tell me about getting to this point that this record is out, because it's been, if my calculations are right, my math is not always great, but it's been about 5 years since the last record, right? It's a pretty long time to get a record. It's not exactly Chinese democracy level, but it's, you know, it's 5 years.
I was going to say, not if you're in Evanescence. This is quick. That was quite a turnaround. No, I feel like, you know, my process is very much like just like reach out and receive and start playing until it sounds good. And then, you slowly begin to realize what you're creating and get on the train and ride the wave. And you just can't let time really be a factor. It was in this one only at the very end because we had the tour booked. And the whole point of the tour was like, we're going out there to tour this new album. And I'm not going on tour until we have this done. So like the pressure of time on this one just in the last, couple of months before the finish line were like intense more than normal. But in general, like I like to let us do that. I think it's important. Our first album was Fallen. So there's kind of a standard. Like I've never really been like, all right, cool, let's just shoot something out next year and see how, like I can't do that. And I wouldn't say it's all because of that, but there's always been that standard for me. Every time we make an album, it's got to be that good or better. I want to do something incredible. I want to make the best thing we've ever made. Otherwise, why? What are we rushing for? Like it needs to have a point, and the passion. So that's definitely there.
So, did you work with different people making this record over the course of time? Did you kind of go into studios, come out, do some of it, leave, and come
Yeah.
back to it, or did you just was it the writing process that you kind of were just stuck on? I mean,
Both.
tell me about the
Yeah.
creative aspect of it.
Well, we started writing individually and together while we were on the road. Like I like to sort of just plan little field trips when they're convenient. Like, okay, we've got a show on a Thursday and the next show isn't till Tuesday or something. I don't know why it would be those days, but there's a few days in between. Like find instead of everybody trying to like either waste time or go home or find some way to fill the time, like let's just stay out here, rent an Airbnb, move the chairs in the middle of the room and like create a little, session situation where we can just jam with each other. And it's nice because like on tour, you're already in sync. You're already in that I'm gonna fail to find the right word, but in that synchronicity, there you go, where we're all just in tune with each other as players, and we can take some of that energy and put it into the writing room and just even come up with just like a scrap of something. And I would say that every single one that we did in the last few years yielded something that ended up on the record, a piece of something. So we did some of that, and then once I think we had three songs that were like, these are for sure we want to do. And I showed Nick our demos a while back, a couple of years ago, and he was like, sweet, let's do this one, and this one. And I was like, perfect, I love that. And we started chipping away at the recording at Nick's in Nashville, where I live. So it's easy for me. And I would go over there lots of times. We're like, can we have a vocal day? I have an idea. Like, I want to try some stuff. So working with Nick was sort of like this slow burn process because we kept those three songs going for a long time. We like kept adding one more thing. Wait a minute, I got a better idea. I wrote a new chorus. Like the election happened. I have a whole new thing to say. Um, and then we had kind of at the same time as that was going, Afterlife was happening. Because the Devil May Cry thing came at us, and that was beautiful and natural, and that we did with Nick as well. And Zach Cervini mixed it. And at the same time, I had like just gotten off the phone with Zach, and he was like, "Hey, I'm your fan," and I was like, "I'm your fan." He's like, "Let's just like go in the studio and see what happens." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds crazy. Why not?" He's like, "I'm gonna bring my friend Jordan Fish from like Bring Me the Horizon." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's perfect. I know him and we want to write together." Like we're literally just having that conversation. I'm gonna bring Troy. So the four of us like got in a room, and this is different for me. Um, got in a room like I guess it was 2025, and just 5 days, five songs. Like it was like immediate lightning between us. Like when you just feel that energy spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning around and just like hitting each person and like a pinball machine. It was just this really fast magic that was really exciting and really inspiring and different. Like Zach is a genius. Jordan is an incredible writer. So we were just sitting there on the back couch, like spitting ideas like constantly. Anyway, we took that energy from that core, like right there. And I was like, okay, this is like the new core, and started bringing the band into those tracks and other tracks with us. So it just sort of this like storied thing with chapters. Then Forever Without You was like the second to last one. I called Nick back up and I was like, hey, I want to do this one, just you and me, somewhere in Nashville. And he's like, okay, cool. And we used another random studio. So yeah, long story, but I feel like allowing whatever your heart wants in the moment to happen. And obviously, this is a luxury because the typical way it works, like when you go in to make your first record, and the way that we did the first time too, and Emma, I know you too, like this is, you have to have all the songs, you prove to the label, these are the songs, and they whittle that down and go, okay, you're allowed to do this many, these are the ones we believe in. And you've got the demos like pretty much good to go. Like, so you're going to minimize the actual amount of time you have to spend in a recording studio spending the label's money. And then you go in there and it's like, quick, okay, drums first, all the drums, every song. Don't think about anything else. Great. All the bass, all the guitar, or whatever order. And that's it. And you just layer by layer do it. And that is efficient, but there just isn't as much creative flow in the freedom of like where your heart is, when you first write a song and you're so obsessed with it and you really want to just start laying down like the ideas for real. Like demoing is awesome and we obviously do a lot of that, but to be able to throw down ideas in real time as you just came up with it. Some of the vocals on Sanctuary, we were just all in the room together and I was like, oh, I got a great idea. And Zach would be like, do it now. And I would just sit there in the room and record it on that SM7 that Emma and I both used a lot. But that wasn't the main mic. That was just like the extra mic. And then some of those, it's like, I can't recreate that later. We have to use that verse that we did when we wrote it, like in that moment. And I think that there's magic to catch there. So I feel really lucky to work with people who are like flexible and creative like that, and also have the time, and the money to spend to spread it out like that and let it happen as it came.
Emma, anything you want to add about all this and this whole process?
I mean, that pretty much says it all. It was all exactly how you said it. It was kind of like chaotic and serendipitous and wonderful. And I just remember when you sent me those songs, Amy, I was like, wow, this is really, really, really cool. And I was so excited. And when we finally sort of came together as a band to lay it down, it was so fast. And the energy was really kind of in the room. And it was really enjoyable for me. I've loved the experience. And yeah, it was great.
Amy, you said something while you were discussing all that, where you said, like, you used to have to bring it to the label and all that. Now, if I'm not wrong here, you guys essentially, Evanescence essentially became an independent band over 10 years ago, right? So do you...
Well, we had a moment. I mean, no, we have labels. We're with Sony. We're with like different labels in different territories. So we're BMG here in the US.
Okay.
And they've been fantastic. But I just signed short-term deals with people that's like, cool, if you're in, we're gonna have creative control. Like we've earned that trust. That's not a fight. It's like you guys make your album, we'll support it. And they've been incredible with that. They can trust me. Like I know how to make it good. Like, and we're only gonna work with like cool people who are gonna make it good. I'm lucky to have that kind of trust, but this is our second time doing a short-term deal. Like it's been going great. So yeah, we're not indie. We have support, but by doing different territories like that, also it's like you get the support of each territory when you're there. Like it's like a home, like a local album for them wherever we go, pretty much. It's not like, oh, okay, we're taking care of these people on the American label kind of as a favor, and taking a small chunk. It's like everybody's really invested around the world, which has made a huge difference too.
Yeah, and also you have that trust from whatever label you're working with on whatever project because of the track record. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, when you've got the track record of what Evanescence is doing, both live and radio and sales and et cetera, I think they're going to pretty much give you a pretty big level of autonomy, way more so than they would give maybe a brand new artist that doesn't have any history or any success yet, where they might want to meddle more, I would think.
Of course, sure. Or at least hear it. We showed the demos, but like not right away. It was kind of late in the game. They're like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, I'm so glad you think so. No going back.
Let's talk a little bit about the tour, because at the time you're doing this, you're both home at the moment. Amy, you were saying this is a little bit of a break you're on, right?
A little bit, yeah. We just had 4th of July weekend off. We start back up on Wednesday in Chicago. So, yeah, this is like our last day at home, just having a little catch our breath. So, that's been really nice to have. Like we had 3 weeks, then this little almost week in the middle, and then 3 more weeks for the US tour. Well,
And how's it been going so far for both of you, starting with you, Emma? How's it been on the road and how have the shows been? Amy mentioned the production's bigger than it's ever been.
Yeah, it was a learning curve with because playing a lot of the songs from the new album on this run, and also the production is all new, and it's all like it's really, yeah, way more involved than at least I have had experience with the band. And it's exciting because it's like, there's all sorts of things like pyro and stuff that makes a show a show. So yeah, it's been pretty great.
lifts, they get to rise into the
Yep.
air. Um,
Yes.
we were in rehearsals, like band rehearsals and production rehearsals for over a week. Just really, and that was actually, I was exhausted by the first show. We all were. We got to the
Yeah,
first show, we're like, oh my God,
me too.
like this is it for real. And I
Yeah.
have had like a 2-page set list up there with so many notes of like, you better be over here or your hair might catch fire, or you better be over here or the
Yeah.
kabuki is going to fall down on your head, which has only happened 2 times.
Is that right?
Yes,
The
it's
giant
really
curtain
fun.
came down on you?
Only once with the spotlight on me because it was one of those nights where the spotlight guy kind of didn't follow me as well, and that's just kind of hilarious and irritating. And I was right in the middle of being like, look, I looked up at the like whoever was in the spotlight area, and I was like, "Come on, dude!" And so he shines the light on me, but like he was doing the right thing. I was standing in the wrong place, like just fully confident because I was not. I am in like my head, like I'm singing, like here comes the next song. I know what the words are. So, but if I stand like it's a very we've just you know what we've come up with a new plan where I'm not going to stand in this, but I'm going to come around it. It's supposed to be like I'm standing right in front, and the kabuki in the dark drops down right behind me. So then I go out to the piano that's on like this. This I'm giving away the whole show. I go out to the piano that's on like a catwalk that goes out farther into the crowd, and it comes out of the floor. It's amazing. But then, oh, new thing. It's the piano song, and there's a kabuki there, and then in the last song, the kabuki drops in a really dramatic moment. It's super beautiful, but standing in the wrong place, and then yeah, he did what I was given an eyeball for, and turns the spotlight on, and immediately the kabuki falls down and slams me in the face. And there's nothing you can do in that moment but laugh and just go, guys, that's on me. It's live, people. We're actually doing the show. This is actually happening live. The other time, at least it happened in the dark. So, I mean, only the front like 10 people were like concerned. And I was like, I'm good. Just, I'm not going to say anything about it this time. And they're like, okay.
So Amy, would a giant kabuki coming down on you, would that constitute your top Spinal Tap moment, or is there a better
No.
one in the history? I want
I'm
from
sure
each
there
of
are
you,
more.
before we have to end here,
There's
from
many.
each of you, I'd like your top Spinal Tap moment so far in your career. Emma, do you want to go first? It could
Oh.
even be with Sick Puppies if you have one.
Entire career. There's so many. I
Yeah,
have to think of.
there's got to be a couple
Okay.
great ones.
Yes, there was one. It's always, it is very Spinal Tap. We joke that there's always one moment per day, a Spinal Tap moment. There was one kind of like mortifying in a way. One where it was with Sick Puppies. Actually, it was a couple actually. One with Evanescence, but a festival, huge crowd. You know how they have the wedges or the speakers out front that you go step on where you're not supposed to. But
Monitors, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
yeah, like the actual PA, and I went out and stepped
Yeah.
on it, and I'm like, oh, this is a little precarious. So I turned around to walk back onto the stage, and my leg went through the hole, but not all of me went through the hole, just my leg.
Oh,
So I was
no.
kind of like,
Stuck
I can't,
playing.
yeah, I was kind of like stuck and playing, and it was very embarrassing. But you just
So
learn to laugh at
embarrassing.
these things. And the other one was actually recently where my pants split.
Oh, yeah, but you didn't know
I didn't
until
know.
the
That's the
end.
thing.
That's the
That's the
worst
thing.
part.
Unbeknownst to me, I was playing pants split, quite a large split, but anyways, had to laugh at that too. Luckily, it wasn't a huge deal. But anyway, what about you, Amy?
Well, actually, I will say the kabuki is pretty funny. I can't think of a better because when I think of Spinal Tap, I think of big production fails.
Yeah, yeah,
And this tour is that. Like any little thing, it's like it's a big deal because
yeah,
you're trying to do something epic, and there's always going to be the risk that goes
Yeah.
along with that because if it doesn't go off perfectly, it looks stupid. Oh yeah, the other one on this tour is I like come out of the floor at one point. Like I get to go down with the piano lift and I come out. And like the song is starting and it's just not going up. And I'm just sitting there and we had a new
Yeah.
like stage manager that or carpenter or whatever, the person that was pushing the button. And I was just head down, superhero pose. And I look at him and I'm just like looking from side to side at both of them. I'm like, guys, I'm about to sing now. Didn't come out of the floor. I guess that's it. I had another one, but it was just going to be laughing at Emma in a cute way because the band saved her. Do you
Did you
remember?
ever get? Did
When?
either of you ever get lost going to the stage?
Yeah, that happens like way often.
That happens a
Like,
lot. Yeah,
yeah,
that can
that's
that's
happen
not
at any
rare.
moment.
That's
That
not
just
even.
happened to
Well,
me. That just happened to me because I host a lot of shows all over the country and the world. And I just hosted a couple months ago a festival in Brazil that was headlined by Guns N' Roses. And I had to walk one of the opening acts to the stage. It was Yngwie Malmsteen, and we were under the bowels of this old soccer stadium in
Yeah.
Brazil. And there's pipes real low, and we're ducking, and we're both tall. And wait, no, I think we got to go this way. And he's carrying a
I know the
Stratton.
venue. I know the venue, and we made that joke when we were there.
Oh my God,
Like,
these little
same one?
stairs that are
Yes.
cracked, and you
Do
go
you
up and.
remember? You remember where it's like underground and you're like literally under everything and there's all the
Yes.
cables
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything at that Sao Paulo place. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So funny. It was Alliance Park.
Totally remember that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it's Spinal Tap every day around here.
Yep.
You know, we got a million of them. We got a million of them. Save one
Well,
for sure.
the most important
Keeps
thing
us
is,
humble.
yeah, you ladies stay safe because I mean, Amy, you mentioned you did shows with Metallica. Of course, James had that horrible accident decades
I saw
ago where
that.
he stood in the pyro and he got burned. I mean, if
yeah,
you've got a lot of
yeah.
pyro on stage, you really want to know where you're at, right?
We're safe. I'm not scared about that. And we've got people spotting and people calling it in our ears. That part to me, at least to me, like where I'm at, I don't feel scared of that.
What
and
about
part of
going up? Any
peaceful
height
power.
issues?
Yeah, Will's a little scared of heights, and he's got to go really high.
He does,
Like he
yeah.
definitely had a look on his face. Like he loves it. Please don't get me wrong. It is his absolute dream come true this tour. But like the drum lifts up, and when we were first doing it in production, he was like, "Okay." He's like, "That's as high as it goes," and he's like, "No, it goes like 2 more feet for the other song." And Will just had this look on his face, like, "Okay." He's like, I just got to get used to when it gets up there and it jolts. Cause like when it stops, it kind of, so you got to lock your knees or whatever. But
Yeah,
it's
I
fun.
didn't know.
It's so much fun. It's
Oh
like
my
getting to be in a
gosh.
theater production. Yeah.
I don't like heights, and I'm glad to know my good friend Will Hunt does not either, man, because that would be
No,
that
he
would be
doesn't.
harrowing. To just tell him to look back at some of that old Kiss footage from the '70s when those guys were on these rickety plywood platforms going up there with pyro going off, like 1976. You didn't have the technology or safety you had now. It's crazy when
No.
you think about that stuff.
Terrifying. No, we're safe. We're good. We're having
Good,
fun.
good. Well, listen, it's great to visit with both of you, and I wish you continued success with the album and the tour. I know that the U.S. dates start again in a few days. I know you got a big one at the Forum in L.A. coming up. You got some incredible shows. And then from what I saw on your website, Evanescence really has a big footprint around the world now at this point, right? You're going all over the world after America.
Yeah, we are. I think next is Malaysia and Japan. And then I forget if there's something before, and then there's other things I'm not allowed to talk about yet. Oh yeah, and Australia, of course. We got to go back there. So, yeah, there's a whole big world out there. We want to get to as many people as we can. We it is one of the most incredible things. One of the best gifts about this is get to travel the world and meet people, and at this point, see familiar faces at those shows all over, far, far away from home. It's beautiful.
And one final thing, when you talk about global touring, it always amazes me when I talk to artists because sometimes they'll tell me, well, actually, our biggest market is for Evanescence. Is there a place in the world where your music is connected that you never thought it would, where you go there and it's like complete mania, like bigger than anywhere else?
Yeah, it's South America in general, Mexico, South America, Central America, but like Brazil. I have to always say Brazil. They're the loudest. Argentina and Chile are amazing too. Just yeah, South America would be a different life to live down there. They're amazing. Their energy's incredible.
Yeah, I think the word is passion. Having just been there, it's
Yes.
passion. I mean, it is
Yeah.
crazy the passion those people have for the music. It's so cool to see that. So,
Yeah.
well, listen, again, thank you to both of you for some time today and continued success. And I hope to see you out there on the road somewhere. And again, everybody check the date, see if there's a show coming near you. And the new album is out now. It's called Sanctuary. Thank you so much, Amy, Emma. Have a great day, a great week, and
Thanks,
appreciate the
Andy.
time.
Thanks, you
Awesome.
too.
Thank
See
you.
you soon.
All right,
See ya.
we'll see you guys. There they go.
Thank-
Emma and Amy from Evanescence here on Trunk Nation. We'll take a break. We'll come right back after this on Sirius XM 103, Faction Talk, and the Sirius XM app.
More Trunk Nation and all things rock. Up next with Eddie Trunk.
This is Faction Talk on Sirius XM,
Home of Trunk Nation.
where the conversation is all things rock.
Now, Eddie Trunk.
All right, we are back, and this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to, I always look forward to talking to this guy. He's an old friend and a tremendous musician as well, and he was nice enough to take some time to join us today to celebrate and talk about an album that he was a huge part of that came out amazingly 40 years ago, the debut full-length solo album from David Lee Roth, Eat 'Em and Smile. The bass player from that band and that album, the one and only Billy Sheehan. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm great, Eddie. Thanks for having me on. It's so great to see you as usual.
Yeah, we were talking off air, and as the audience knows, I tried to get the band back together and get Steve on and Greg on, and Steve is on tour with Beat right now. He sends his love; he couldn't do it, and Greg is rehearsing with Ringo Starr, so he couldn't do it as well. So they all thought it was a great idea, but they were unavailable. But they were happy you were doing it, so it's all on you to tell the story, Billy, and go down memory lane from 40 years ago. I guess the best thing to do would be to just start at the beginning for you. You're playing in Tallis, right? When you get the call
Yeah.
to do this?
Yeah, we just got signed with the William Morris Agency. They wanted to do a tour with Yngwie and Tallis. And then we just got a record deal from Gold Mountain Records. Danny Goldberg. I think he went on later to manage Nirvana. And so that same week, a third phone call came in, unknown to me completely. And it was David Lee Roth's office wanting me to be in Dave's movie. I was like, what? What in the world? So we were going out to LA to start the tour with Yngwie. So I said, well, okay, I have a meeting with him. I went out to his house, and they picked me up and took me out there, and went outside with Dave. And I said, what's going on? He goes, well, there is a movie, but the real reason I called you is I want to start a band. You play bass, we'll find a guitar player, we'll find a drummer, and we'll go off and do it. And I always said to people, I'd never leave Tallis for any band except for Van Halen. I go, David Lee Roth, close enough. And he was gone.
Well, I wonder, was it at all a hard decision for you? Because Tallis was your baby. Tallis did really well in certain parts of the country. Things were really starting to happen. I know that most people would say, well, of course, it's a no-brainer. You go to David Lee Roth. But I think of it almost as a little bit of a parallel. Brad Gillis was playing with Ozzy when he had Night Ranger going. And he made the decision to go with Night Ranger because in his mind, even though they hadn't broken yet, it was going to be his thing. And that was more of that. So he took a gamble there. But for you, was there ever a thought in your mind, like, is this the right thing to do? This could flame out in a year and then I messed up Tallis?
I didn't think of it in that manner, but you're absolutely right, because it could have gone south easily. Who knows? Or at the last minute, he said, oh, I'm going to get somebody different on bass. And then I would have been out of luck completely. But at the time, we're struggling a bit. Coming out of Buffalo, New York, we had to rely on a lot of clubs for shows to play and make money. And the scene was dying out because they raised the drinking age to 21. So all the clubs were losing business. A lot of clubs were closing down. I'm thinking, geez, something better happen pretty soon here. I ain't getting any younger. And so when the Dave thing came, plus I was just such a huge Van Halen fan from the very beginning. I loved that band. I loved Dave. And I remember going, I've seen them the first couple of times, and I wanted to see Eddie, of course, but was transfixed on Dave as well. It was just such an amazing entertainer, as most of us surely think to this day. So yeah, it was a little bit of a chance to roll the dice, and I got a lucky 7 for once. Thank you, thank goodness, and there we were.
And is it true that Dave came to see you, and were you aware of it playing with Tallis when you opened for Yngwie, I think it was? Because I was at that show at the Beacon Theater.
Oh, great.
Did Dave come and see you?
Yeah, I'd already made the deal with Dave even before the first show of that, because I went out to LA, went out and we decided, and he said, of course, he said to me, you can't tell anybody anything. So it was a giant secret. And so the rest of the guys in Tallis too. I was thinking, man, at the end of this tour, we're gonna have a little meeting. I don't know. It was a tough thing. But yeah, he came out to see us in LA and then also in the New York City show, and was great and amazing. And I kept my word. I kept my mouth shut. When I finally went out to LA after that tour ended, people would see me out in the run. What are you doing here in LA? I go, oh, nothing, just hanging out. Make up a story for it, because I was working with Dave every day on songs out at his house and stuff. So, yeah, it was a tough situation to make a decision, but it had already been made by the time he came out to see us play.
You mentioned you were, of course, a huge Van Halen fan, as everybody was. When you first met Dave and started initially working with him, what was your initial impressions of him as a person to work with, and as as a musician and as a guy you're going to be in the band, personality wise, what did you think?
Well, he was the life of the party, to say the least. If there was no party, he'd make one and be the life of it. We had fun. We hung out a lot, went to the Troubadour, the Rainbow, a bunch of little clubs and stuff on the weekends, taking a break from songwriting, whatever. And I had a ride. It was great. The first night, I didn't know, but they were testing me. I got there. They lost my luggage, so I had no clothes. So I wore whatever I wore on the plane. And we went out to a kickboxing match, and sitting right at the ringside. And I was getting sprayed with sweat, but it was great. I love MMA, so that was cool. And then his bodyguard took me to Pink's for chili dogs, and I had the chili dogs. And then we went out to a little club, and Kenny Richards, the drummer from Autograph, was with us because he's a buddy with Dave. And so he was playing drums. There was a guitar there in a little Chinese restaurant upstairs, and I grabbed the guitar, started playing oldies. Dave started singing everything. And I passed the test, the chili dog test, the MMA test, and can he go out and just jam and have fun? So unknown to me, that was the test. And fortunately, I hit all three squarely on the head.
Now, it sounds like when you talk about the arc of this, Billy, it sounds like you were the first one in as far as the band members are concerned, right? You were the first guy enlisted, right?
Exactly. Yeah, he had done a little writing with John Sykes, and I remember hearing the tapes, and it really kind of never really went anywhere. I don't think John was into it either.
Really? Whoa, that's a shock. Whoa, that I never heard. You know how much I love John.
I know.
Really?
I'm surprised I never told you that either. Yeah, here's a song that he did with Johnny played in the cassette, and it's just kind of a riff there, and it went on forever, never kind of developed anywhere. Not that that's a bad thing. It's a nice bed for something else. But I didn't hear anything from Dave about that relationship or what happened or what he was into or what he wasn't. What I know of John now, I don't think it would have worked too well, because John kind of wants things his way, God bless him. And Dave is the boss. So that probably would have been that.
Well, if you think about it, yeah, the same. So this would have been, that's really interesting, because this would have been just before John joined Whitesnake. So this was 86. Well, no, they would have been
summer of 85.
Right around the time he was also doing Whitesnake then.
Wow.
That's really interesting. And yeah, I agree with you. You know how much I love John, and we all know the story of, you guys almost working with John and all that, but yeah, they were both the same thing that ended up happening with him and Coverdale, button heads and being, both being pretty headstrong people. I think it probably would have been even worse with Dave. I can't even imagine that working.
I think you're right. Yeah, that's kind of Dave's personality, and I love him. And he gets the job done. He gets it done. He's there early. He stays late. He's a hard worker, and it's got to be great. It's got to be excellent. for example, we started doing the guitar and bass solo in the set where we'd stop and I'd do my bass solo, yay, and Steve would do his solo, yay, and then go back to the show. And about the third show, Dave took us aside and goes, "You guys, it ain't working. It ain't working for me. It's got to be better. It's got to be more entertaining. You got to like let's do this thing where we start like a tractor pull. Steve, you go out and start playing. Billy, you go push him aside and mute his guitar, and then you do it, and then he pushes you, and then you chase each other around the stage." And that was all his idea. So he said, because and in the end, it's so much better than just watching a guy a bunch of whittly, thing. And he wanted to go farther, and it turned into it was copied by a lot of other bands too. That little back and forth thing between the bass player and guitarist, like must have seen a dozen bands doing it as well. But that was kind of the spirit of the thing. You wanted it to be better. It had to be great, good enough. I remember when Van Halen came out with "Good Enough," and he said, I think it was Dave who said it. Good enough is the worst thing that ever happened to great.
All right. Well, I want to get there about because that's an interesting dynamic too, what they were doing versus what Dave was going to do. But going back to the lineup, so, he had dabbled with some stuff with Sykes, which is a big revelation for me because John never even told me that. But the other thing is, So when do you first catch wind that Steve Vai and Greg Bissonette are coming in? Did you play a role in that? Did Dave bring them in? Did you, what was the connection there? And did you know those guys previous to playing with them with Roth?
Well, I knew of Steve because we were on the same label, Important Records. He had his little sub-label that was distributed by them, and Talos was on that as well. So initially we had communicated a little bit about doing something together before any of this happened. So I get out to LA, and it turns out that Dave was also interested in Steve Stevens, who is now a dear friend, and what a great, great player he is. But Steve was with Billy Idol, and wisely he said, he's got it's a legacy legend. Steve Stevens and Billy Idol. It's just, they're so great together. So he opted out. And so I told Dave, I know another Steve, and that was Steve Vai. So through Ted Templeman, we got in touch with him. And he came down, and he was the perfect guy because he had a sense of humor, but was an amazing player too. That Zappa kind of sense of absurdity and stuff that would work well with Dave's humor and all. So he was just the perfect guy. We got along famously instantly. And then Dave tasked us to go find a drummer. So we did at rehearsals at SIR Studio Instrument Rentals rehearsal place in LA, and it kind of leaked out that this might have been for like a big gig, but nobody really knew. So there was about 40 guys in a line around SIR, and we had all these guys come in, play a little bit, write their name down, see whatever. But oddly, well, one little side story, Roxy Petrucci, the drummer from Vixen, she was hanging around with us because she was friends with Dave's secretary, and she's a dear friend of all of ours as well. And Pia, Steve's wife, was in Vixen at that time also. So she came in and just for laughs, "Hey, go ahead, Roxy, sit down." And she was great. We're looking at each other like, what if? And we went back and told Dave, yeah, we found a girl drummer that's pretty good. And I saw him kind of thinking, going like, how can I really stick it to Alex? In a way, but just kidding, in a way. But she was good enough to have done the gig, though. She was really great. But then Greg Bissonette walked in, and he didn't even play. And Steve and I just looked at each other. We knew he was the guy. I don't know how that happened. Some psychic weird ass thing. But we just looked at him, stirring up. Greg sat behind, was a ball of enthusiasm. "What do you want? Here's some 7. Here's 5. Here's 11. Here's here's a swing. Here's a double bass drum." You could do it all, but he was just a. You could tell he just would glow as far as what a good, wonderful person he is. To this day, I say, hey, that guy's really an amazing, incredible. He's almost like Greg Bissonette class. That's how good he is. Because Greg was just such a sweetheart. And Greg went back, took a cassette of the music home, learned it all in one night, came back the next day to Dave's house and went through all like 8 or 10 or 12 songs we were working on at the time. Bang, perfect, right through. So he was just instantly ideal. And there we were. That was the core of the band. And we went down to the basement of Dave's house. And I remember there was a pile of like old gear, Eddie's cabinets and speakers and stuff. And I thought, I didn't want to blow it by overstepping my boundaries. And I almost said, "Hey, if you want to get rid of that trash over there, I'll take it home. Fortunately, I didn't. I would have stuck my foot in my mouth. But yeah, some old speakers and cabinets of Ez were there, and it was pretty cool. So, and we were down in the basement where Van Halen did a lot of the work down there as well, I believe. So it was a great thing. And we had out in the garage, we had leftover Us Festival beer, which was out in the garage in Pasadena where it was 110 degrees. So it was skunk by then. So we'd sit around after rehearsal, drink skunk beer, tell stories. David tell his adventures, Steve his Frank Zappa stories, me all my shenanigans, and Greg as well. And we hung. It was so cool. And I think that was a lot of why the record kind of sounded bandish, even though we weren't together for a long time. But we had a great time together.
Can you talk about the material coming together? Because when you look at the track listing of the record, I don't think people realize this until they really know the credits of these songs. But of the 10 songs on the record, 4 of them are actually covers. There's the 3, old songs. And then, of course, Shy Boy, which technically is a cover because it was a Talus song that you wrote. So tell me about the balance of material, the decision to do Shy Boy, the covers, and then, of course, the 6 songs written for the record, and how that all came together.
Sure thing. Well, the sky opened up and Dave decided he wanted to play Shy Boy, which is great. And I don't know if the average listener understands when you play a song from somebody, there's publishing money to be made. And if you're a big artist and you want to play somebody's song, you can say to them, I'll put your song on my record, but I want 90% of the publishing. That happens sometimes. It didn't happen this time. Dave put my song on the record. 100% of the publishing was mine. He got a small fee for arrangement because it was his idea to change the key of the solo, which was a good idea. We went to the relative minor, and when you come in and out of the solo, there's kind of a lift rather. And so he was really good. So that was a gift for me to get my song on the record. That was really cool. And then Steve and Greg and I would sit around and work on parts and little things. And Dave would be upstairs. He'd come running down. That's good. It sounds like a chorus. No, give me a bridge. And we figured out. Okay, good bridge. How are we going to go out? And he'd back up and down the stairs. His office is upstairs. He'd be up there doing biz. And it was a riot. We came together. That's how all the originals came together. Then Ladies' Night in Buffalo. I had gone Thanksgiving to Buffalo to go see my mom, and I came back and we're all sitting around getting ready to do some playing again. So what'd you do over Thanksgiving? I went to Buffalo. I go, well, how was it? He goes, it was Ladies' Night in Buffalo. And everybody laughed their ass. Ladies' Night in Buffalo. Thinking because Buffalo's an industrial blue collar town. How sophisticated could the Ladies' Night be? No offense to Buffalo. Anyway, so that I didn't write the song, but I said it. So that worked out from there. And the other ones kind of just fell together. Me, Steve, and Greg jamming with Dave. The Nashville Teens did Tobacco Road. That was a hit in the '60s. Zappa. I said Frank Sinatra rather. That song, we used his original horn charts, which are the written music for the actual track. At the Capitol Record Studio, recorded it, which was where I think Frank recorded it as well. So that was kind of a cool thing. A lot of people don't appreciate because that's a whole different generation. But Frank was the David Lee Roth of his time in a lot of ways. He was the man. Different level of flamboyance, of course, but he was the hang. He's the guy you would hang with, and not unlike Dave. I'm Easy. I'm not sure where that came from. Just kind of a swing tune. Greg is so good at a swing with horns that it was just an ideal song for him. And what was the other compy tune? Was I forgot.
I don't have it in front of me, but let me see. So yeah, Tobacco Road, which you hit. That's Life.
Yeah.
Which
I'm Easy.
Of course. Yeah, and what do we?
I'm Easy and Shy Boy, I guess, if you want to count that.
Yeah. There you go. There's the 4. Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, so cool. What was it like for you? And tell me about the input of Ted Templeman, because that was a big move here as well at the time, because Templeman was almost caught in the middle of a divorce here because he did all the Van Halen records up to that point, and now Van Halen's making a record without him using the engineer, Don Landy, and Ted goes with Dave to make Eat 'Em and Smile and you guys. So what was the experience like working with Templeman?
What a joy. Easy as can be, just great. Yeah, do your thing. That's cool. Yeah, more of that. He was really into us having our freedom and doing things. And we have enough sense to not just go berserk on the whole record. And this time you got to pull things down for vocals. So we did understand how the thing worked. But he was such a joy to work with and such a wonderful guy. We did the beginning of the recording up at Fantasy Studios in Berkeley. I think a lot of Journey down there, Aerosmith song right about that same time. Creedence Clearwater, quite an iconic studio. We did most of it there, and then we moved to New York City, the Power Station, and did a lot of stuff there. And then out to LA to Capitol Records, where we did the Sinatra song. I might have some of that a little mixed up as far as the sequence goes. But what a great guy, and what a wonderful guy, and to work with such a iconic producer and see how a guy like that works is really cool, because everybody's different. Some guys come in, okay, this is how it's going to be, and shut up and do this, and this is my way or the highway. Where Ted was just really let the musicians do their thing, a little more of this, a little less of that, and then the sonics. He's got great ears, and everything just made it sound really good. And it was quite an honor to work with that gentleman, I must say.
And it sounds like they really encouraged you guys to be yourself and to really play, because obviously, here you are. I mean, no matter how anybody was going to spin this, it was going to be looked at Dave's band versus his old band and all that. So they definitely gave you guys a chance to shine on the record. It's not over the top, but there are those moments where both live and in the videos, and of course on the songs, where you guys got to, to play and really show what you could do.
Yeah.
And did that came from, I'm assuming, Dave and Ted at that time, as to really, I've got Billy Sheehan, I've got Steve Vai, I've got Greg Bissonette, let's hear them. That would, I'm imagining, was the idea.
Yeah, and that was a gift to all of us. We could show off our shtick and stay within the boundary lanes of songism, and have Dave do his thing. It was just it was a beautiful thing. I can't express how grateful I am that I landed in that spot at that time. Grateful to Dave and to Steve and to Greg too. They're still my best buddies. I love those guys. We've all worked together a little bit. Usually around holidays, Steve, Greg, and I have gotten together to sit around. Originally with Brett Tuggle, also, as we mentioned before we started. Sadly, we lost him a couple of years ago. He passed away, but he was the live keyboard and a great singer. He was an amazing singer. So he sang all the harmonies with me to sing with Dave. And yeah, pretty amazing.
And he did the tour, though, right? He was not on the record,
yes.
Right? So he came in for the live shows.
But on the next record, he wrote a lot of the material.
Right.
And that's why it was a little more keyboard-oriented record, the next record, which wasn't necessarily my thing, and that became the beginning of that, but that's another story.
Right. Let me ask you about and we've kind of alluded to this a little bit, for lack of a better term, rivalry. I mean, because no matter how you spin this, again, being a fan at that time, and I was in the business at that time, all eyes were on what's happening here. The idea of David Lee Roth without Van Halen and the idea of Van Halen without David Lee Roth in 1986 was just nuts. But I was almost, both things came out great. 5150 was a huge record and was very embraced. And again, it was different, but it was great. Mm. And here, I don't know anybody that didn't love Eat 'Em and Smile and didn't go to the shows. But when you're making this, was there, ever kind of alluded to, we got to beat those son of a bitches?
No, because we were pretty much done by the time that record was done also. So we didn't pre-plan we didn't have any targets on the horizon at all as far as to shoot at. And as far as myself, Greg, and Steve, we were of course on Dave's side, but we still were torn because we love Van Halen. I love all of us. I love Michael and Alex, and of course Ed is just so great to me. And if I got time for a little story, when I first got to LA. And I was about to go meet with Dave. Nobody knew anything. And I still had Ed's number. That was one of the best things in my life, is to have had Ed's number. And because he would take my call. At my worst, most down time when my career was going nowhere and everything was coming up, mushrooms was just awful. Ed would take my call, and that meant a lot to me, and it got me through a lot of tough times. Just because the man was kind to me, it was amazing. So when I got to L.A., I called Ed to invite him down to the show. Yngwie Tallis playing. I go, hey Ed, come on down to the show. He goes, yeah, I'll try. It's pretty busy here, And I go, yeah, I'm gonna go out to Dave's for a meeting tomorrow. And then he goes, what? What? You're going? And he didn't know. He didn't know about. I don't think he even know that Dave quit yet. And so I thought, oh man, I just stepped in it horribly. He goes, oh, what, you got to tell me what happened. You're going to have a meeting with him? Yeah, well, I guess so. And he goes, you got to call me tomorrow right after the meeting and tell me what happened. So I'm thinking, oh man. So if I call Ed, Dave will probably say, you just blew the secret. And I don't know what Ed is going to do. I don't know if it would be any gig for me there. So I could ruin this whole thing by opening my big fat mouth. So I thought, I won't. And I didn't call Ed the next day. And I didn't speak to him again until about a couple of years after I was out of the band. So that was, Ed didn't even know Dave had quit yet. And I was this close to blowing the whole gig by opening my big fat mouth. So fortunately I said, and then a few years afterwards, I talked with Ed again. And he was great too. He was cool with me. And, we had a good talk. Since that time, I went up to the 5150 and jammed with him and Alex, and we played together in the Jason Becker tribute. And he's always been a sweet, sweet guy to me, and I love him dearly, and will never think anything else about him other than great things. But that was pretty interesting, and I almost blew the show by opening my fat mouth.
You could have blown both gigs. You were caught in the middle there. You don't know what the hell's going on.
Exactly.
Trust me, we all know the politics and tightropes you got to walk around some of these bands and band members. Is me doing this over 40 years, I know better than anybody. There's eggshells. You got to be careful. You just got to know how to navigate the world a little bit, the best you can. So amazing. A couple more things from me, and then we'll let the listeners say hello to you real quickly if we can.
Great.
I want to ask you about, the videos, because, of course, this was the heyday of MTV, and the videos were so iconic, and Dave was known for the videos and all the over-the-top stuff. Did you have fun doing the videos for the songs from the record?
Insane. It was totally insane. Most of the movie was really progressed up to a point, and then CBS pulled the plug. So they had all the costumes, they were working on sets. I still have the original transcript of the dialogue, all the whole movie, all the everything the actors were supposed to say. I still got that at home. It's going to be a hell of a yard sale when I sell all that stuff off. So when that fell apart, I was in the office the day they got the call. And everybody's like, "Oh man, we just worked our asses off in this for 6 months, and now it's in the toilet. What are we going to do?"
So Billy, let me just stop you there real quick, because I don't fully know this story. Maybe some of my audience doesn't either. The movie was supposed to be what? Crazy from the Heat? Was it from the EP before? Right. So the idea was to make a movie with you guys. Was that the concept?
Yeah, we got fitted, and they got all kinds of crazy clothes for us. When I came out on stage on Even a Smile with this wacky leopard coat with a golden, that was the pimp coat from the movie. the guy who was the pimp, whoever they were going to cast, and a lot of stuff. A lot of the ideas were used in the videos as well. So the videos were a riot to shoot, but man, it was hard. You'd get there at like 6 a.m. You get there 6 a.m. You would just keep on going till 2 a.m. And I remember the next day I could barely walk from running around and doing the stage stuff and everything. It was, but it turned out to be quite a great thing, because the videos got a lot of attention. The original Yankee Rose was just great, and going crazy after that as well was pretty cool. But yeah, there was a movie, and then they pulled the plug on it. I was there the day that the word came down, and I remember saying, "Hey, to hell with the movie. We got a great band. We got an amazing record. Let's just go out and play." And suddenly a couple of beers opened up, and we said, the heck with it. Let's go. And we were off on figuring out a tour schedule and go from there.
And that's a perfect segue into the last thing I wanted to ask you was about the tour, because
Yeah.
you went out and the tour was, from my recollection, tremendously successful. What was the whole experience like for you? Because now here you are, you're on stage with the singer in Van Halen, and you're not only playing original music that you were a big part of, but you're now playing some Van Halen songs too. So what was that all like for you?
Amazing. A dream come true. We were rehearsing at Perkins Palace, which is like a 3,000 seater in the Pasadena area. And and I remember sometimes, because this was such a whirlwind of things going on in my life, I'm on stage singing at the mic, and Dave is up next to me singing the harmonies for "I'm on Fire" by Van. I'm on fire, and all of a sudden, just hit me. Oh, it's David Lee Roth, and I'm in his band. It just kind of all fell down on me at one time, and it was overwhelming. Just to think, man, I'm here. I'm in Hollywood with Dave, Steve Vai, Greg Bissonette, Brett is here. The crew and staff were amazing. The lighting guys, the sound people, everybody was just, all the Van Halen folks mostly left Van Halen and came to work for Dave. I'm not sure what story is behind that, but most everybody that I remember from touring with Van Halen in 1980 with Tallis, Patrick Whitley was the production manager. Eddie Anderson was Dave's guy, and security guy. They were all with him still. So it was nice to have had a little history with them. But man, it hit me like a ton of bricks at one night. Like, holy cow, this is the real thing. I'm here, and it's amazing. So we went out on tour, and it was a riot. It was just a blast, a dream come true. We were one thing. We were always respectful. Myself, Greg and Steve and Brett, I can account for them always. Dave was great to us. He was on a different bus, and we were on our bus, which in a way was probably a blessing in disguise, because if we did it that way, we didn't get in trouble with the boss. But we would, on the stage was numbered from our point of view, the barricade that when you're up to the front of the stage and watching, it was numbered. So if we'd see a really attractive young lady, we would note the number, go to the side, tell security, section 14, blue top, blonde, 4 rows back. And he'd get on the radio, section 14, blonde, blue dress, and you'd see a security guy walk out, find her, and put a after show pass on her. Swear to God.
Those were the days.
Show, and after the show, there would be a whole room of great people, beautiful girls, wonderful, sweet people. And we were always respectful. You got to believe it's really true. We're always respectful, To a lot of these girls I still know to this day, and they're grandmothers now, and and I see them with their grandkids sending me messages on Facebook and stuff like that. But we had a riot, and one of my favorite times is David in the backstage area. He had a huge PA stereo, really loud, giant stereo. And he put some of his music on, which would be a little esoteric or a little thing. It's like something that he thought was cool and everything. And everybody's sitting around looking at each other. And he'd look at me and go, all right, put it on. What he meant was put my choice, Back in Black. You can never go wrong when you put that record on. And you'd hear, and the whole place would go, and then we'd have a riotous after show dance party, and it was a riot. It was so great, and Dave was generous to us, and wonderful. We got paid really well, and it was a dream come true. Really amazing.
Yeah, that thing with the backstage passes, that comes from his Van Halen history, because that story has been told, back in the early Van Halen days as well. So that was one thing he took from Van Halen with him to the new band. No question about that.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I remember hearing about it back then also. Yeah, when we toured with them in 1980 as Tallis, it was a PhD in Showbiz 101. I mean, it was like a military operation. They were up and set, and everything was exactly where it was supposed to be. Later on, there was a lot more drugs and drinking, and a little less on point. But they were still, I always say, the tour we did, about 30 shows with them, at their worst, they were only spectacular.
Mm. And something else just came into my head. So Tallis opened for Van Halen in 1980. Is that where you first you mentioned that you were in touch with Eddie Van Halen and you guys would talk. Is that where you first connected? And did you connect much with Dave on that tour?
That's where I got together with Ed, and I hate to be such a fanboy, but I can't help it. It's Ed Van Halen. I saved all the times he gave me his phone number. And the first time was the end of that tour. He was going out with Valerie Burton. They hadn't been married yet, I don't think. So she had given him a card, like a romantic card, at the end of the tour, and he ripped a chunk off the card and wrote his number. And I got it framed in my house. You come over, I'll show you.
As you should.
And then another time he wrote me all of his numbers from the studio and the rehearsal and all the place, and I saved all those. So I was in touch with him from then. That's what I said. Was such a great help to me in my career to know that someone like Ed would take my call. It was really important. We spoke a couple of times about me playing in the band. Now I know it's a little controversial, but it is true. And it never came to be. It never came to any paperwork being talked about. But I remember going up to see them in Toronto after Buffalo. They played Buffalo. This is a couple of years after we toured with them. We'd go and we knew all the crew guys, so they'd let us backstage. And I was with Dave at a table, and the other guys in Tallis were with Ed at another table at the bar after the show. And I remember there was a look on the other guys in Tallis's faces like of not good. And Ed was kind of doing this to them. And I found out later that Ed was saying, "You guys got to step up your game, man. We're going to steal your bass player." So after that night, I didn't know what was going on, but they wouldn't even talk to me for about a week. I'm like, "What the heck is going on?" What the hell said that you? Relax. That didn't happen yet. So let's just keep moving forward. So that was one time. And then a couple other times, I'd gone up to Ed's room to listen to some cassettes, and he said, what would you do if I asked you to join Van Halen? I said, "What plane would you want me on?" And he shook my hand. After that, I went to see them in Toronto, and Dave came to me and said, "Hey, I heard you've been talking with Ed about that." Yeah, I goes, "Oh, that's great. We'll talk to you after the tour." So it's real, and it was. But now Michael is awesome. I love Michael. You can't really replace him in Van Halen. You can't really. That's why even when Sammy came, there's a whole different band. And I was torn. And since then, I've spoken with Michael a bunch, and he's the sweetest, most wonderful, understanding guy. And he was a bass player in Van Halen and should have been there. I would have loved to. It was my dream. But in a way, I'm kind of glad it happened the way it happened with just Dave. And I never, it was a problem for Michael. Thank goodness, because I love the guy, and he's just great. I would always play people Van Halen records, go, "What's the loudest thing you hear?" Bass? It is. Bass is the loudest thing on the record. And man, he drives that whole band. So great.
And the big thing about Michael is that voice. He still has it, that crazy high voice. I mean, that's him and all those harmonies. It's such a big part of the sound, and you really hear that even with what he's doing now with Sammy. And he's just one of the best people. You had told me that in the past, Billy. You said that you were such a Van Halen fan that as much as it would have been cool for you to have been in the band, you just didn't want to be the guy that disrupted the lineup, because you wanted to still see the band of those four guys. You didn't want to be that guy.
Maybe I could just stand off the side of the stage and let Michael continue playing. But no, I love all those guys, and Michael especially. I felt terrible a couple of times when I saw him because I knew he knew, and he knew that I knew, and it's just to become friends with him. That's the kind of guy he is. He wouldn't be a Sheehan trying to steal my gig, you prick. No, he wasn't like that at all. He was always been kind to me and friendly with me, and he kicks ass on bass. He's a perfect bass player for the band. No one else could really do it. That would have been great. He's the only guy.
He's the best. One of my favorite people. He's the best.
Exactly, as a person.
Reunion. It comes up all the time. I know it almost happened 10 years ago. The fire marshals called it off at that jam. We've talked about that. Even now, people still, Dave's out there now doing stuff again. Are you in touch with them? Is anybody from the original band in touch with them? And do you ever think you would ever, I'm sure you'd want to do it. Is there ever been any other close calls where there was a thought of it coming back together again?
No, after that night, Dave said, "Hey, let's do it. Let's get together and do a tour." And I said, "Okay, great." And we didn't hear from him again. And I love Dave. He's a very special person. He's not the kind you would call up, and I'm sure he has his friends in his inner circle, but it's closed off to some degree. So that's not like I'm in touch with him, but it doesn't mean I love him any less, or that I'm even one molecule less grateful for what he did. And I'd love to do something again. We're all getting up there. I'm in good shape. Fortunately, my voice is still here like it was, and I'm still hopefully playing it like I was. Steve is doing great. Greg is as good as ever, or if not better. So I don't know if it could happen or if it would happen, but sometimes because it's not happening, in a way, it's kind of good that that mystery kind of remains. You know what I mean? And I have a video of the show shot professionally, I think in Washington, D.C. I think I'm the only guy that has it. I can't put it out because it's Dave and it's his show, but I do have it. So if he sees this and if he wants to put it out, I'll be happy to turn it over to him. But yeah, that's I've shown it to a couple. If you come over, Eddie, I'll show you. I'll prove to you that I have
Oh,
it.
I would love to see it. You know, and I bet you it's from Landover. Is it from Landover Capital Center? Because for
Yes,
some
Capitol Center.
for some reason, there's a ton of pro shot concerts that have come out of that venue. I don't know if they took it off the screen feed or what they were doing in that venue, but there's so many bands that there from 70s and 80s that have shows from that venue.
Funny. Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's one Capitol Center. Yeah. So that's up to Dave. That's his property, really. I mean, I'm glad that I can show it to my friends here and there. Make sure they put their iPhones away before I do that.
Right, right. Was there anything for Eat 'em and Smile that was recorded and not used?
Funny you should mention it. Ray Lugier was a dear friend of mine. He's a great drummer. We played with Dave for about 6 or 8 years, I think.
Yeah, I know, Ray.
And I got together with him a couple months ago. It was about five or six songs that we didn't do. Why don't we record them? So we got the drums, we got the bass done, a couple guitar players and a couple singers to come in. So we got a bunch of the songs that were never done, as well as we did a couple remakes of some of the things from Eat 'em and Smile as well. So we've got a bunch of different singers and guitar players coming in. We tried to get it done in time for today or for around now. Unfortunately, we didn't. But there was a song by Rory Gallagher, a live version of a song called Secret Agent. And I still got the cassette where Dave had written, this one, Secret Agent, on it. So, because I presented it to him. A song by Kim Mitchell from Toronto called Kids in Action. Another song, can I swear on this?
Sure.
Yeah. That Dave is one of the first ones he wanted to do. And everybody kind of raised their eyes and go, uh-oh, I don't know if we should. It was a song called Fuck Everybody. And it was done briefly by Rowdy Roddy Piper, the wrestler. And so we were gonna do that song. In the end, it got the kibosh. And another one, it wasn't considered for us to play it, but it's a song that Dave really liked at the time, and I see why. Because he just left his band, and he was getting kicked while he was down, and people were doubting that he was going to come back strong. And oddly, Matthew Wilder, I'm never going to break my stride. I'm never going to break my stride.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are kind of what was going on at the time. So we're going to do that and a few other things. And with, like I said, myself and Ray Lugier, because we love Dave and we want to pay a little tribute to that. So it should be done in about another maybe 6 or 8 weeks.
So these are all songs that were all going to be covers, that cover tunes that would have potentially been on Eat 'em and Smile that he didn't end up doing. And you're saying now you guys, you and Ray, are doing new versions of these songs as kind of a tip of the hat to that period.
Exactly. Oh, and one other band I forgot to mention, and it really was, according to everyone at the time, that was really a template for Van Halen, was a band called Stray Dogs.
Don't know them.
And the song was called Speak of the Devil. There's Running with the Devil, and there's Speak of the Devil. And Speak of the Devil, when you hear it, it sounds like Dave meets Jim Danny Mangrum, and the guitarist was Snuffy Walden, and a really great guitar player too. So that was another song I forgot I left out. That's a really cool song, but it was kind of was described to us as a template for Van Halen when we were considering doing it.
Wow, interesting. We got to get Ray in Maryland in here. Go ahead, Ray.
Hey, thanks, Eddie. Billy, how you doing, man?
Good, man.
As great as this Eat 'em and Smile band was, and all the musicians are, There's another band that I would like to hear some more stuff from in the future that's also a stacked band, and it's the Winery Dogs, you Portnoy and Kotzen. Any chance
Never
down
heard
the
of
road,
them.
Never heard of them. Any chance down the road we might get some? I know you guys are all busy too. Mike has that little Dream Theater thing or whatever it is, and Richie does his thing. And any chance for some new Winery Dogs down the road?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I haven't heard from anybody or anything, but we have to give credit to the man who really was the spark that ignited that band. Was this gentleman right here, Eddie Trunk. He was the guy who had the idea to get Richie Kotzen, and those guys are both amazing talents, and I enjoy playing that band very much. But I don't know anything about any future. I apologize. If I did, I would be happy to do that. But I do, Eddie, if I may be so bold, is to utilize some of this airtime for my own purposes.
Well, that's why that was a great jumping off point from Ray, because of course the Winery Dogs, we all hope the band comes back. We'd all love to see more shows and records. As Ray alluded to, everybody's in different places at the moment, but hopefully there's another way it can come back together somewhere in the future. But yes, I was going to ask you, Billy, anyway, because last time you were on with me, as we let you go and transition into what's going on now, you were playing in a band called The Fell. Are you still doing that?
Yes. Yes, sir. We got British dates, UK dates coming up at the end of the summer into October. The record will be out very soon. I'm really pleased about that. And there is one more thing, if you don't mind.
Please.
When we did the 1985 record with Talus, which is the song, everything that was going on with us in 1985, when I left to join David Lee Roth, all those songs, we went back and did them all right. And singer Phil Narrow came out and just nailed it. He got up to the mic and knocked it out of the park. We didn't know how ill he was at the time. Now we know even how much greater he was to have stepped up to the mic and done what he did in the condition he was in. And sadly, we lost him soon after that record. And I'm really, really pleased to announce that his son, James, who has got an amazing voice, much like his dad, has decided to do some shows with Talus. So we're going to go out with that lineup, and James is going to sing. I already had him sing a couple of our songs just to see if it fit, and he sent me his voice, and he's a spitting image of his dad. Wonderful, sweet kid on top of it. So we're very excited. Beginning of next year, we're going to go out and do some shows as Talus with Phil's son at lead vocals, and we're so happy about it. He's such a wonderful young man, and we're going to have a blast. So there'll be Fell shows coming up too, and similar to most of my life, I'm kind of in two bands at the same time. It's the Fell and the new version of Talus with James Narrow singing lead.
Wow, that's interesting. That's awesome. I didn't know. So for Talus fans out there, it's not done yet. There's still more to come, and that's exciting. And for people that did not hear that previous record, that was a real good record. So people should check that out. And for the Fell, there's an EP out right now, right? That's what's released so far.
Yeah, we've got about another 6 or more songs that'll be attached to the record, and really great stuff. I love playing it. It's a band built around songs rather than musicianship, as most of my bands usually are. But it's really great to have a really song-oriented band, and we had a great response to some live shows we did recently. So be plenty more of that as well.
Yeah, it's really good too. For people who have not checked out the Fell, that's some really good material. And lastly, Billy, just hit me. I mean, I know Mr. Big did a farewell. Is that completely done as far as you're concerned, or do you hope that somewhere down the line you'd be open to do? I mean, I think Eric recently said in an interview he'd be up for doing more if there was an opportunity. Do you think that's done, or do you think that could come back at some point?
Well, we did say when we did the farewell tour that it was really a farewell tour, because a lot of people do, as you know, they do a farewell tour. They come back again another year later, and then 2 years again. But we said even at the time we wanted it to really be a farewell tour. So that's kind of where my heart is at. And I think that it's a good idea to end on a high point. I just saw, I won't mention some names, but I've seen some bands out there, and it's continue to play. That's cool. And I love you, and I'm your fan, but boy, I'm glad we ended on a high point with Mr. Big. We were all still in pretty good shape, and that was a good thing. So I kind of like to leave it there. I think who knows what tomorrow may bring, but I would like to stick to our guns, and that was the farewell tour, and we ended on a high note, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, I agree. As a fan, it's hard to see some of these bands that you love end, but it's worse when you see them stay too long at the party and you're like, it's a shell of what it once were. And I mean, I get calls all the time about bands to this show every day, and it's not a category you want to be because it's just, it tarnishes the legacy. You know, you want to go out saying, wow, the band's really, really good. Like, you know, Rush coming back is fantastic. I don't know if you had a chance to see any of the footage, but who knew Rush would come back 10 years later with another drummer? And I mean, I went to see him in LA. It was amazing. And Geddy sounds great. So that's fantastic.
Yes,
but if you came back and you couldn't do it and you couldn't be, you know, you couldn't sound like they're sounding right now, you'd be like, oh man, I really wish it was that last memory with Neil, but they're doing a great job and people are loving it. So as long as you can hold a certain level, I think it's great. Play as long as you want, but when the wheels start coming off, you got to know when to get the hook. Somebody's got to get the hook.
I couldn't agree more.
Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate this. I know the audience does as well. And stay in touch, okay?
You're the best, Eddie. Thank you so much. Call me if you need me.
Same here. Same here. All right. Thank you, Billy.